We are always wondering if homosexuality is right or wrong, and we forget the most important question: is homosexuality good? Does it make you happy? I will try to answer that, of course, according to my point of view, and I will try to do that regardless of the cultural or historic or geographical context. So it is obvious that in Africa things are worse than in Europe, or that today things are very different from many years ago, but I will try to look at the advantages or disadvantages that this diversity has in itself. And because on one hand we have the psychoanalysts and Joseph Nicolosi, we've seen that they find in this condition the source of all evil, and they find psychological problems, inferiority complex, the homosexual person cannot relate in a healthy way, and so on. On the other hand, we have the new philosophy of the pride, which represents homosexuality as a rainbow full of colors, as a thing which is awesome. But is it really so full of colors? Well, let's start with an advantage. The advantage of the fascination. Last week I was at a party and I was drinking a bit, and when you drink you start talking about everything, and I was talking about my sexual orientation, and a lot of people were interested in that, approached me and with their drinks and were listening very carefully, and they also made me interesting questions because probably in their everyday life they didn't have this opportunity to know about something so rare for something. So I feel sometimes often like a mythical creature. I have this fascination of being different, and I really enjoy it. Another advantage is that I am immune to the female manipulation, to the female fascination. What do I mean by that? I see in a lot of heterosexual couples, I see horrible women, horrible injustices, and imbecile men. Really dumb men who do not have a clue of what's going on, who cannot make themselves respected, and who are just confused by this beauty of women. I never was confused by that. Beauty on women never had any effect on me. That's ineffective, and the result is that I treat women just like every other human being. I make no special case for them. I listen to what they say, I observe what they do like every other person does. And of course I have the other problem. I have the problem that I am a victim of the male beauty, of the male fascination. So when there is a very handsome guy, I tend to be distracted, I tend to laugh at every joke he makes, and I tend to forgive him more things. And another advantage is that homosexuality made me grow, made me reflect on a lot of things, not just about myself, but also about nature. I don't know, maybe I wouldn't have studied Darwin if I wasn't homosexual, and biology, and also spirituality and faith. I had a lot of questions about faith because I was driven by a lot of problems, and also about the universe. And really, if I think about what is the one thing that made me grow the most, I would say that this thing is, without a doubt, homosexuality. At the beginning it was like a violent push, it is true, but this push made me grow so much. And I see a lot of heterosexual people who just keep some questions, some matters at a superficial way, and they never have the opportunity or the will to inquire deeper. And maybe if I hadn't been homosexual, I wouldn't have done that as well. Another thing that I really enjoy about being homosexual is femininity. We've seen in a video that statistically homosexual people, male homosexual people, tend to be more gender non-conforming with respect to others, and I really appreciate that that in my soul there is a feminine part. I'm really grateful to that because I enjoy being slightly more sensitive, having a more refined, also aesthetic taste of clothing, of the choice of words. I love being more rational and less impulsive, because I see a lot of men who are just so impulsive, they cannot express their feelings, they tend to solve things by shaking their fists and doing physical things, and they are obsessed with this dominance competition of violence, who is taller, who is faster, who is stronger, who is bigger. I really enjoy being rid of all of this crap, and I really enjoy having empathy. I immediately realize if a friend of mine is sad or happy, while a lot of men just do not have a clue of what's going on. They're just so self-absorbed that they really miss so much about the world, about other people. And I also can express my emotions, my feelings very well. We come now to sex. In my opinion, and most of people I think agree with me, homosexual people have more sex with respect to heterosexual people, but have less romantic relationships. There could be various reasons for that. One thing is we have the dating apps like Grindr or Tinder, and I could even now I could open Grindr and see I have a lot of messages. I could answer, and we can hook up in just some minutes. And homosexual people do not have problem with that thing. They have accepted themselves, more or less, and so they have accepted also their desires. While homosexual people have a difficulty very often, so they are ashamed of their desires, and of course a boy doesn't use, at least in Italy, dating apps, because it would be considered like a loser thing to do, and also a girl would never use dating apps because she would be seen as a slut, and in real life she cannot date a lot of boys because of this misogynistic mentality, so she can't do that in real life. Let's not even think about that in the virtual life. Courtship then. Courtship is very quick in the homosexual world. It really gets to the point, and the courtship of heterosexuals is sometimes very prolonged, and I see a lot of girls who wants to be desired and really concede themselves after a lot of time. Not only I think that homosexual people have more sex, but I also think that this homosexual sex is better than heterosexual sex. And why is that? First of all, because homosexual people know a pleasure that heterosexual men will never know in their life, which is the anal pleasure, the pleasure of being penetrated. Of course, I'm referring to passive to bottom homosexuals. Heterosexual men just know the pleasure of coitus, the pleasure of active penetration, so they never know this prolonged and very intense kind of pleasure, and this is a pity for them. Of course, this doesn't apply to lesbians, because for lesbians it is the same, just as heterosexual women are penetrated, also are lesbians with the aid of some tools. The second reason for which I think homosexual sex is better is that we have less problems, we have less anxiety, we have accepted ourselves, so we accept in a better way our desires, and so we tend just to go with the flow, to search for pleasure, to be more explorative, while a lot of heterosexuals have a lot of shame, and they tend to stick to the same things and do always the same things. They are afraid of looking weird and so on. So I don't know again if this is an advantage or a disadvantage. If you like sex, then being homosexual can be a good thing, a nice thing. If you prefer relationships, I would say bad luck. You should have been born heterosexual. And I will return to this point later. Let me just say another point, which is the mystery, the mystery. I have to live my life with a mystery within me, because even if I did a lot of research and I was obsessed with that in a part of my life, and I found some answers, then I found other answers more convincing, then I think I found the most convincing answer of all, but still science hasn't found the precise mechanism through which homosexuality exists. So it is still a mystery, a biological mystery, and I have to accept it. I don't know if in my lifetime it will be solved, and it could be cool for some people. It could be like fascinating to live with a mystery within oneself, and of course we all live with mysteries within ourselves. Let's just think about the mystery of the universe. But homosexual people live with an extra mystery, or it could be a source of anxiety, a source of stress. Yeah, so it depends on the person if it is an advantage or a disadvantage. Let's talk about a disadvantage, which is the difficulty to make a family. If you are homosexual, it is kind of difficult, especially in Italy. You need to have a lot of money and you need to think about some things, but in every case it is not possible that your baby is the image of you and your partner. So because the baby either has your genes or the genes of your partner. So it is not perfect like heterosexual reproduction is. Let's now come to the saddest disadvantage that makes me sad about being homosexual, which is the following: that most of the people I see at in orchestra, at a party, at school, at work, I have to always remember that most of the people I see that I like, that turn on my passion, I have to forget them, because they are not gay. Most of people are heterosexual. And moreover, every time I really like a guy, I do some research and eventually find out that he is heterosexual. I don't know why, but I always like heterosexual people, and therefore it's really a bummer. Just think, have you ever had a crush on a girl or on a boy, and then eventually you find out that he's or she is homosexual, and so you are disappointed? Yeah, I have this feeling like every day. So I am used to it. I do not even lose time for that. I know it's a waste of time to fantasize, to think about a strategy for conquering them. This is just a waste of time. Most of the people are heterosexual. This is the way the world works. And so I have to systematically, I don't know if I give you the impression of how sad this is, but this is heavy for me, and this makes me wanna cry. And I systematically have to renounce, have to suppress my feelings, my desires. That is quite sad. So all things considered, I do not know how to answer the question, are you happy with being gay? Because who knows, maybe in the other life, in my heterosexual version, I would have been happier with my feelings, with my romantic feelings, but then I would be superficial and dull. And would I have matured so much? I wouldn't be the way I am now. So maybe that is a fair price to pay.